Good, whatever time it is of day for you today, folks. This is McRory at the Brewing Academy. This is a proof of life video for a 1088 XLD. The XLD that we're currently looking at is almost stock, except the customer also put in a VBXE RGB board, as well as the fact is that it has an internal DreamBlaster S2. So, what does this 1088 XLD have on it? It has a dual compact flash hard drive setup, as well as PS2 mouse port, PS2 keyboard port, two standard joystick ports, a cartridge port. It has Midi out, Midi through, and Midi in, as well as the internal Midi. That's what the DreamBlaster S2 is connected to. It has a Wi-Fi SIO connected to the SIO port. It also has a standard Centronics parallel port on it, and it has control over all of that through power switches on the front and back. It also has stereo through a standard POKEY and a POKEYOne in the stereo setup, and it is an NTSC XLD. You can also get them in PAL. So this is a close-up. This is also to demonstrate that this is in particular for serial number 1007266. And if you can get a look here, we've got the parallel port, the Wi-Fi SIO, the Midi ports. These are control for the power and the Midi to either the SIO ports or the Midi. This here is a DIN. It's a standard Atari DIN for the SC1224, but it's a DIN 13. We have it connected to what we call a BOB, which is a video breakout box. And then on the front here, you can see the cartridge port, as well as the PS2 ports and the compact flash port. The BOB is just connected to this SC1224 here, as you can see, and the BOB is just this box right here. It's connected to the XLD with this DIN 13 standard RCA video and sound ports, as well as S-video. You've got HD15 RGB, and then on this side you've got DB9 RGB as well. So what I'm going to do, and then down here we've got a 9-bit or a 9-pin tractor feed dot matrix printer, just because they're easy. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to power it up. The first thing we're going to demonstrate is the fact that there is simultaneous output on both the RGB as well as the S-video. And if you want to, go down and hurt your eyes, you can also have composite, just in case if that's the only connection you got nearby. We're going to keep it on S-video. Okay. I'm going to tilt this down just a hair so that you're looking at that and that. Alright, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to test out the cartridge port. We're going to play Space Harrier, or, try. And the reason I do that is because it really puts things through its paces and demonstrates some sound, as well as pushes the cartridge port. Now, I didn't say it was good, I just said I wanted to show you it would play. Okay? That's not cool. Okay, but it works. We're all good. Okay, so the cartridge port works. We know that it works. I've pressed F12 on the keyboard, and that gets us to the firmware BIOS screen. I'm going to power off the machine, but I'm also going to demonstrate that the 8-bit cart ROM is enabled, and that the SpartaDOS X and the Graphical OS are both disabled. The reason why I want to keep those disabled for now, as well as the fact that the PBI BIOS is disabled, it's because I want to demonstrate, as I power this off, This is connected right now via the SIO port right here to this Fujinet, an external Fujinet that we make. And I am going to make sure that it's on and then turn it on. Oh, I'm going to take the cartridge out of the port because otherwise that will override. Okay. You see the boot screen, and then it goes immediately to the Fujinet screen. And voila. Going to demonstrate that the Fujinet works. We're going to say edit www.the Brewing Academy.org. This is our TNMS server. Et voila. Okay, so that works. We're going to power it off again, turn the Fujinet off, and then I'm going to power it back up, and it should go into BASIC. Because there's no cartridge, there's no boot device, so it's going to go into BASIC. I'm going to type lprint. This is a test. It is a test of at 1700 hours on 31 January 22. Okay, you probably heard that. That's one of the reasons I use the dot matrix. And then we're gonna right there, 31 January, and we're all good. Okay, so what are we going to do now? Well, we're going to power it off again. Oh no, actually we don't need to. I'm going to go into the firmware BIOS again, and I'm going to turn on the graphical OS. Okay, I'm going to press B to save those settings and boot. Okay, now why am I showing you this? Well, to demonstrate that this is something that's in, or can be in every Ultimate 1 meg. It doesn't take up space that you wouldn't ordinarily not use. And it's also a great way to demonstrate that the mouse works. Okay, I currently have it set to Joyport 2 because most Atari mouse stuff looks for the mouse on Joyport 2. There are also LED indicators that will tell you what port your mouse is assigned to. If you forget, in your manual it has a copy of this in the manual, and it will say Alt M to switch mouse ports. Okay? Alrighty, let's go back to the firmware. We'll press F12. I'm going to enable SpartaDOS X, which will then automatically disable the graphical OS. I'm going to enable the PBI BIOS. I've got it set for D5. My logic is this. Most people back in the day had 4 physical floppy drives. That was the max they could have. And even now, the max you can have in 4 physical floppy drives, unless you've got an 815, in which case you're not really using it, so don't give me that. Alright? And if you're lucky enough to have it, you need to give it to me. Yes, yes you do. Anyways, so D5 is the first hard drive. I think that's just the way it should go. Okay, we see that this is an NTSC machine and the VBXE is present. We also know that it's present because it's currently working on the SC1224. I'm going to press B to boot. Okay, I've got this set up. This is my compact flash hard drive. It's set up to boot to a multitude of config files, one of which has no VBXE, one of which has a Graphic 8 sort of emulator for VBXE, and one of which is just default, in case I really munge up the works. So we're set to drive E, that's D5, and the next thing we're going to do is CD to Bob term, and we're going to go X bob term. Okay, I've already got the RS2, the RVerter loader set to rs232.com, so it automatically boots. I'm going to change from Atari to ASCII. It's set at 1200 baud and full duplex. I'm going to press enter. Then I'm going to press AT plus config. You see the menu for the Wi-Fi modem that's sitting on it, and we're going to type Wi-Fi, and this tells you that the antenna is connected. It sees a whole bunch of stuff, and then you know, hey, I would connect to my network, but then I would have to show you my password. I'm not going to do that. So it works. It's great. In the manual, it will tell you how to use it and how to configure it. Okay. Now, the next thing we're going to do is we are going to quit out of this, press start and Q and Y, and then I want to demonstrate MIDI. So I'm going to turn this off, and these two switches back here, I'm going to turn them up to go to MIDI and up to go to internal synthesizer. Okay? And then I'm going to turn this back on. And that's the cool thing about having an internal synthesizer. It'll boot up to Atari. Have you played Atari today? Okay. And let's boot. Okay. We're going to do a directory. And then we're going to change directories to MIDI. And then I believe it... oh, can't type. Directory. Okay, now I'm going to play a file, and I'm going to shut it off very quickly. Otherwise, YouTube says that this is a proprietary thing, and it's got some copyrights and blah, blah, blah. So I'm just going to do x miniplay.xex. Okay. I'm going to do file, and I'm going to go file. Thank you. 002.mid. I'm going to press load. Okay, I'm going to press play and then stop. Okay. Pretty cool, huh? So that's MIDI. We've done the printer, we've done the SIO, we've done the cartridge port, we've done the Wi-Fi, we've done the keyboard, we've done the mouse, we've done the joysticks.